Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Devil May Cry 5, Mission 16, Diverging Point Dante.
No hard feelings, guys, but this is my gig.
Okay.
Trust me, Nero.
I like how Dante just can't come out and say, hey, you know, this involves your father. Maybe you don't want to get involved in killing the guy. But, you know.
Well, that's a little hard when he doesn't want his dad to know. Like, he doesn't want Nero to know that Virgil's his dad, so, you know.
Yeah. But, like, his method of dealing with this is to put on this cocky front that just pisses Nero off. Dante, you're failing at interhuman interaction. Just gonna say.
And who's everybody raise their hands if they're surprised by this. See, nobody was raising their hands. You can't see them.
One of the things about getting Dante's moves is that his Rebellion, Sparta, and Devil Sword Dante move lists overlap, even though Devil Sword Dante has different moves compared to the other swords. It's probably for the best that most of the additional moves for the other two swords are tied up in Swordmaster style. Okay, so from this point on to the end of the game, we're mostly going to be playing as Dante, because the second half of the game sort of slides halfway into that mode Devil May Cry 4 had, where you play as Dante mostly during the second half, as opposed to the first half, which was Nero. Except they spread out Nero and Dante a bit more evenly, and intersperse V in between.
And V's there too.
Yeah.
Full speed ahead.
Dante, no one's here to hear you. Stop that. Dante's...
God, I'm sick of the Qliphoth.
I mean, at least this area is a different color. Sorta.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's
red.
like a purpley red as opposed to a brownish red.
I mean, at least DMC5 can't wholly be accused of muting its colors the way a lot of PS3 generation shit did. Man, you know, it occurs to me that one of the most notable things about Uncharted 1 for its generation was how colorful that goddamn game was.
Yo, motherfuckers like brown.
Brown and gray.
That is, you know, from 2009 to like 2000 probably earlier than 2009.
I'd say mid-aughts. Yeah, mid-aughts to like
Early 10s.
PS4 gen.
When did
yeah.
Gears of War come out?
2005, 2006.
Yeah, that's like the first game I can remember that's like started the browning of AAA games.
But can you... The thing is, though, but Gears of War didn't do that because that was the norm. That was just Gears of War style.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, you know, it's like one of those things where if you're the first thing to do that, if you're the trendsetter, unfortunately that means once the trend becomes tiring, then you're not as... you know, you're tired of it, basically.
Yes. I only wish that they could have picked a better trend, because there are trends that have stuck around. For example, Resident Evil 4 started the trend of over-the-shoulder third person as a standard. Before that, like third-person camera in gaming, it just tended to position itself awkwardly behind the character model without much cinematic emphasis of any kind worth speaking. Okay, the knights with the hats. I need to say, that's good shit. I need to put hats on knights more often. Anyway, but like third person in games tended to be fairly non-standard, and in a lot of games it would just position the camera directly behind the character's model, which isn't ideal if you want to see what's directly in front of your character, you know?
But ideal if you want to look at your character's ass all the time.
Well, I mean, even that works better in over the shoulder, to be honest, because you're closer in. I'm just gonna say.
No, because you're over the shoulder, not over the
Yeah, in
ass.
Resident Evil 4, you can't ever really see Leon's ass.
Yeah, but
I couldn't tell you, like, if it was...
What are you talking about? It's always right there. It's
Hold
always
on.
right there, especially after he loses his jacket.
Hold
There
on.
is not a
There are times in to take this seriously for a second. There are times in RE4, specifically in the more confined area. I think of like the mines, stuff like that, where the third person camera does allow you to see the entire model instead of just like waist up.
Yeah. I'm looking at a lot of these screenshots. They are mostly waist up.
Yeah, I mean, the camera distance would change depending on where you were, but it does waist up.
And whether you were running or not.
Well, when
Yeah.
I'm I mean, I'm not intimately familiar with this game, but when I Google RE4 screenshots, a lot of them are like waist or shoulder, like when you're doing the heavy aim, you know?
Are you indoors in those screenshots?
No, like I'm looking at one from when he's in the town and it's waist up.
Well, I mean, when you're aiming, it does pull in closer, but
You know, like there's like one where he's just like, you know, he's walking in the burnt town and he's mostly waist
yeah.
up.
But my point is,
Oh well, this one's from the PS5 version, and oh yeah, you can. Oh well, you would be able to see it if this person wasn't wearing the freaking fanny pack skin. Jeez, wow, blocking the goods. Why would you do that to me?
okay, but like but back to my original point. Resident Evil 4 started the trend of standardizing third person into a more over-the-shoulder perspective for immersion purposes in third person. And it's basically the perfect camera angle for that, because it is still third person, but it gives you full peripheral awareness of pretty much everything that you want to see. Hell, if the camera has a shoulder perspective swap button, like a lot of them do, then you don't even have to worry about the camera angle blocking anything on a particular side. You can just switch between them as you need to.
I know that was a big concern for the Silent Hill 2 remake when they moved to over the shoulder, and everyone's like, "Oh no, it's going to be Resident Evil 4 again."
Why would they be concerned about that in the year of our Lord 2020X?
To be fair, like Silent Hill 2 remake had a lot going against it just because of the developers behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that. I've never actually played any of the previous stuff, so I don't really know what.
Neither have I. And like, listen, I'm not going to like chime in and like get my perspective on something that I never played and probably won't for a long time. But I do kind of find it kind of funny that the game ended up being as well received as it was.
From what I understand, though, like the stuff people have problems with from those developers is purely story. But that's the one.
I believe
that's
so,
the
yeah.
one part of the Silent Hill 2 remake that they that those developers weren't like conceptualizing, because it's just a remake of the existing story. Like that's the part that we would have to worry about the least. Whatever. There's someone out there that'll probably tell me that they ruined it forever by, I don't know, making Ghost Lady dress for the weather.
I can't believe they made Silent Hill woke.
Maria,
What's funny
that's her
is-
name.
Maria. But the funny thing is that outfit is in the game. The game calls out to it when she finds it.
She finds it in a closet and asks James if she would look good in it. And he does the Kirito thing where he's just like, there's no right answer to this, is there? It was a fun moment. But, like, I guess we'll talk about this in more detail when we actually do the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh yeah, we recorded that. Sometimes I forget what games we recorded because we.
I have a
recorded them.
list in the one channel for that reason. So
Yeah, that would require looking at it.
I was like, for a moment, I had forgotten that you had already recorded that for us.
Yeah,
yep.
because we record some of these games like years ago.
I do love the Silent Hill 2 remake, though. I wish I could have recorded it, but frankly, my PC can barely run the game, let alone run a recording software while playing it.
And that's where I came in. So
It is a good remake.
Well, this game is like 5 years older than Silent Hill 2, so I guess that makes sense.
yeah, PS4 game versus an Unreal Engine 5 game.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, this game looks impressive to me, but I also understand I'm not on the cutting edge of what's considered graphically impressive. You know, it's just like, hey, guys, have you ever heard of Zelda Wind Waker? Like, man, that game looks really nice.
Well, you know, the Silent Hill 2 remake has great atmosphere, great area design, great graphics, and I think it's pretty good at character models. But I think the RE Engine games do faces better, to be honest. Like, I think that that Resident Evil 2 remake, for example, has better face. Well, more Resident Evil 3 remake, to be honest, because they smoothed out some of the issues with the early Resident Evil 2 remake models. I think Resident Evil 3 remake does facial animation better than Silent Hill 2 remake. It's just about the only thing that it has over the other remakes, though.
I mean, I think that if there's one thing for it to do better, I think that's a good one, because from what I can understand, like, the characters' reactions are more important for the Silent Hill brand of horror than the Resident Evil brand of horror.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think the RE Engine games, and Resident Evil 3 remake and Resident Evil 4 remake specifically, do facial animation a bit better than Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh, sorry, I got that backwards. I thought you said Silent Hill.
And that's not to say Silent Hill 2 remake has bad facial animations, but like even here in Devil May Cry 5, I think the faces are handled better.
No, the game honestly has looked great. I really liked the facial animation in the cutscenes. Like, you can really get a good sense of everybody's character. Like, Dante's like this cheeky asshole, and Nero looks pissed off all the time. Like, and V is like, yes, I'm going to sound very melodramatic and serious. Like,
Also, I'm Adam Driver.
hi,
Okay.
Adam Driver.
So this complaint is coming way late into the game because we fought a bunch of these guys already, but these fucking two-tongued toad things, toad crocodile things, whatever the hell,
But I think the behemoths. I think behemoths what they're called.
they are so annoying to fight. Like, holy shit.
Get that sausage out of your mouth. Get it out.
It's just the way that they move. And I'm not saying they're annoying to fight in a bad way necessarily. They are interesting as a combat encounter. But, like, their movements are so animalistic and all over the place. And they fling themselves all over, and once you break their armor, they become even more erratic. Like that one enemy just, like, they can jump backwards at you and slam their behinds into your face. Like that. Yeah. Man. It's always a relief when I manage to finish those things off. DMC5 has a lot of great enemies, but like its enemy roster still manages to bring in those tanky enemies that you always sigh a little when they spawn in. And it's just like, right. If I were slightly better at this game, this would just be a nice punching bag for my combo game. But I'm not slightly better at this game, so these are genuinely annoying encounters. And if you want to maximize your orb gains, you got to platform around these things instead of just falling. The jumping is better in DMC5 than it was in 4, but you still don't have much in the way of midair control once you get going, you know? At least I know the optimal way to break these things is Dante.
Just oral it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter like how much damage you do, just how many times you hit the thing, so rapid punching it is. And I believe I mentioned this in an earlier part, but in order to climb up the Qliphoth, you have to climb down the Qliphoth. It's,
Yeah, they mentioned that in the cutscene.
Yeah, it's a demon tree.
Yeah. It's just like, it's the most interesting aesthetic thing about the Qliphoth is that you have to climb down to get up.
So, like, you'll climb down, and then when you go outside, you're just at the top of the tree.
Yeah. It's basically it's a twisting of space and time, which
That's like, what's the word for it? Non-Euclidean?
I don't even know, man.
For our math nerds in the audience.
I like how you can see the other two characters in their own areas at this point, but I don't think I actually noticed it was happening while I was playing, so...
Does the game, like, save your, like, movement data so that it knows what you
Yes.
were doing at that point? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does that so that it can broadcast it to other players when you're online, and they can see you playing in their missions.
And then they can say, this guy taunts a lot.
I mean, sometimes all you're gonna see is some combo mad player just going through the game on must die difficulty or some shit. Ooh. Actually, now that I think about it, you might not see that as often, because when combo mad players are actually making their videos, they always do it in the void here. Because it's just more convenient to combo against an enemy that will never die. Boom, headshot.
But wouldn't it be more satisfying to actually use it in an actual field, though, so that the enemy does die? Because at that point, you're just hitting a striking dummy. And striking dummies don't fight back.
Actually, can't you set the enemies in the void to fight back?
I don't know.
I mean, most training modes let you do that. Like, I'm thinking of fighting games more than this kind of game. But the same principle applies.
I put a hat on the teleporting dual-wielding enemy. You know, with that hat on...
I love the random cowboy hat you put on all these different enemies. It's great.
I love, like, when he's wearing the hat, though, my brain crosses its wires with Resident Evil, and I'm like, wait, Mutant Tentacle Mr. X. And it does kind of look like that, except for the purple glowy bits. The purple glowy bits are, like, more demonic than biological. But I could, like, totally see this as, like, when I put the hat on, I could almost cross my eyes and see this as the original game's version of the final boss, where the tyrant crawls out of the lava and comes at you with, like, two big clawed arms. I almost kind of missed that version of the final boss, to be honest.
Okay.
Ooh, nice shot.
Lore question. How does Dante know that Nero is Virgil's son by this point in the game?
He explains that later, but yeah, go on, Lewis.
Yeah, he sort of puts the pieces together. Because there's really only one other place other than him that a descendant of Sparta could have come from. Unless Sparta himself cheated on Eva, but that's not likely to happen. And the Yamato, Virgil's sword, you know, basically just fixed itself and flew directly to Nero when they first encountered each other. Also, like, the Phantom Devil trigger that that Nero was able to produce while using it had a very had some it was basically like Virgil's spectral swords, you know. It was similar enough to a power that Virgil himself used that Dante was able to connect that to Virgil.
Okay, so he's known for since like DMC4 and an inkling since that time. Okay.
Yep. It's why or at least it's implied to be why Dante decided to leave the Yamato with Nero. Man. Sin Devil trigger coming in clutch here. I was almost dead.
Yeah, as I say, you were close to dying there.
That was a certified DMC2 moment that you're never going to see because you're never going to be that low on health in DMC2.
But, I mean, that said, you can also deliberately get yourself in low health so that you can deliberately trigger Sin Devil trigger.
But
you only can do that at low health.
Yeah, when you're in low health in DMC2, if you go into Devil Trigger, you go into... So originally it used to be called Majin Devil Trigger. This game gives it an official name called Sin Devil Trigger.
Yeah, but in DMC2, like, you became this big-ass demon if you went into Devil Trigger at critical health. And it could just blast the enemy so fast and so hard that you could shred bosses.
Yeah.
It's actually
ridiculous.
It's honestly more overpowered than this version of it.
Yes.
I mean, with Sin Devil Trigger in 5, you at least have to use proper technique to access the most broken version of it, which is the version where you pop in and out without triggering that slow animation at the start. Anyway, suddenly it's so cold in here. That must mean an ice demon is nearby. But what ice demon have we fought in previous games that could possibly be behind this?
I don't know.
That might possibly be guarding the entrance to the final area. A guard dog, perhaps. It's Cerberus. It's Cerberus again.
I thought it was Cerberus.
At the beginning of Devil May Cry 3, the very first boss that Dante encounters is Cerberus. He's chained up at the gates of Temenegru, blocking the door, but he can't escape the chains, so he's sort of stuck at the back wall, but he occasionally pounces towards you. So it's not a completely stationary boss. Now, you can tell Dante is thinking the same thing, because this boss is also chained up. Obviously, like the previous Cerberus, he can't get to him. So...
Hey, I remember stinky little pooch just...
So obviously Dante is thinking this demon won't be able to break out of its chains. Well, Dante is wrong.
Looks like your master's got you on a pretty short leash.
Nope.
You starts doing the DMC3 thing again.
For a walk. Come on.
Yep. And then Cerberus just says, fuck you, breaks the chains, and now he's a completely mobile boss fight. But of course, if you're paying attention, you already have a hint that something is different. Because one of this Cerberus's heads has fire coming out of its mouth, and the other is sparking with lightning. So this is a tri-elemental boss, not just an ice demon.
Oh, yeah, and one of them has fire in its mouth, too.
Yeah, that's what I said.
You're the strongest in the litter.
Oh, well, I missed it.
We're gonna need a bigger leash.
Well, in case you missed it again, one of them has fire in his mouth.
What?
The genius thing about this boss fight is the weapon you get from it, because it's technically a returning weapon in that it's the ice nunchucks again, but it can also transform into a lightning staff and I think a fire staff and a lightning something or other. It's...
No, I think the lightning aspect of it are the nunchucks.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm remembering his moveset with it, where it's the same moveset as DMC3, only a little flashier. But I remember lightning coming out of his attacks when he's doing it. So it may be a lightning aspect you're thinking of it. I mean, we'll find out sooner or later. So.
Yeah, next part I'm definitely going to be making use of it because Cerberus is a really good weapon. It's always been a really good weapon, which is why they brought it back. But they added different forms to it this time and different elements, so its moveset is expanded from DMC3.
I don't remember if this theme was like a remix of the Cerberus theme from DMC3, because that was legit one of my favorite songs in the game.
I
You
don't
get it so
remember
early,
any.
too.
I need to turn the volume up to see.
Well, if you turn the volume up now, all you're going to get is Dante speaking and loud sound effects.
Yeah. I don't remember what this music track is like, but no, I don't remember disliking it, so. All right, let's go. In case you can't tell, I can't do that thing where you just flick in and out of Sin Devil Trigger. It's just not something that I'm good enough to pull off, so I just use Sin Devil Trigger the normal way, the boring way. which still shreds boss health like nothing else, so, you know. I love the punching kick weapon. I love switching between the two modes. The animations are what sells it. It's just, you know, after you've experienced the Balrog, it's impossible to go back to those old boring Ifrit style weapons, you know?
You say that, but I still really enjoy Virgil's Beowulf.
True. And I guess Dante having this different gauntlet weapon with a different moveset kind of like gives Virgil's Beowulf a bit more of a unique place in the gameplay than it used to have, because, you know, Dante always had a slightly different moveset than Virgil did when using the gauntlets, but it still had the same basic type of attack.
Yeah, I think that's why people would fancy Virgil's version, because it harkens back to the older games in case you're old and hate change.
And Virgil also has Force Edge, which has quite a few of Dante's old moves.
Yeah. Were you more of a Force Edge guy, or did you strictly keep to the Yamato?
I switched between them, honestly, because, you know, Force Edge had more attack agility, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like just more attacks with a bit more of a moveset spread. Although that's less of a problem in DMC 4 and 5 because they added more to Yamato than he used to have.
Yeah, thankfully. I remember not liking Yamato in 3 because I always thought its moveset was kind of limited.
Yeah. Well, in 3, they just assembled a playable character out of the boss that they had already designed, so it was clear that some elements of his moveset were lacking, you know? I mean, at least it felt a little less thrown together than Jester.
Why do you mention Bale? That was the frog in 4, right?
Yeah. And I think Bale also had a move where he dropped icicles on you.
Yeah. I think it's just to be a hint for veterans about doing ice attack. I was like, why the fuck's he mentioning the frog now? It has nothing to do with us. Pay attention.
Because they know each other in the demon world.
MySpace friends.
Whoa. My hands are sweating right now.
Why? It's so cold.
Well, at least we know Dante won't freeze to death.
I'm trying to rail guard the icicles.
Nice rail guard. Yeah, that's kind of what you did. That was pretty good right there.
But, like, I have no health. I am almost
dead. You got
dead.
gold orbs.
Yeah, I mean, the gold orbs don't do anything if you don't use them.
That's a good point.
I'm trying to DMC2 this. Oh. Ooh, at least I'm a little further away.
I don't know what that... Okay, DMC2 this. Just long-range weapons, okay. Sorry, that was a slow burn.
Of all of the heads fight with each other. Have you guys seen the meme picture of King Ghidorah, is his name? From
Ghidorah.
Yeah.
Ghidorah from Godzilla. And two of the heads are really scary, and one of them's like, dude, with the cross eyes and the happy face.
I can't believe I've survived this long, but it's over. I actually did a pretty decent job of keeping myself alive with the Royal Guard there. It's like, you know, I have a surplus of gold orbs, so winning the fight is not really in question. I can just revive myself as many times as I need to. But as a point of pride, I try to avoid doing it.
Shut up.
Also...
It's a commentary.
Also, the gold orb refills your Devil Trigger and your Sin Devil Trigger. Yeah. So it's really cheap as Dante. You can just revive yourself and go to town with Sin Devil Trigger.
You can also get a move on.
Come on. I want to play
Time is
the
precious,
game.
Lewis.
I want to... Yes, and this is how I spend it. By playing fun games in fun ways. I love Kalina, and with Gunslinger. so much. Wait, what am I doing?
Only you can answer that.
Why am I going into Trickster now?
Lewis, please finish him off.
Look, I can't control how much health the boss has.
You can by beating him faster.
All right,
not
fine.
There you go.
Fine. Ruin my fun. It just occurred to me that that when Dante acquires a new weapon, he does a funky cutscene with it. So we're actually going to get to see which forms correspond to what elements. So that's nice.
Yeah, because I think this is also like the DMC3 callback where he does like just has fun with it for a second. Yeah.
It is a tri-nunchuck in ice form. That much I know.
Is there a specific name for that?
What?
Like, if it has like 3 segments as opposed to 2.
I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea. Okay, so it goes into a lightning staff nunchuck, a staff flail that has lightning powers, and then it goes into fire mode when it's a full staff.
Yeah. Okay.
I honestly find it pretty impressive that they're still adding new weapons, like in the final quarter of the game. Most games would be done with that kind of stuff by there.
I like that.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but as we established earlier, this game also expects you to keep playing it in like New Game Plus.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
that makes sense.
Nero gets a whole additional move set in the final boss mission. So
Okay.
Well, we will see you all next part, ladies and gentlemen, for the final legs of the game, the confrontation with Urizen, and after that, the lead-in to the true final boss.
Get your
See
folding
you
chairs
then.
ready.
Oh no, send something
Look,
better, please.
Look, I'm
Your
not
back will thank you.
I'm not using the lawn chair mod in this playthrough, okay? As funny as that shit is to see Virgil sitting at the top of the tree in a garden variety plastic lawn chair. I'm not using it for this playthrough. I'm sorry.
If you don't know what we're talking about, just look it up. It's great.